And welcome back to the Kenny and JT Show. We continue our spring training coverage here on News Talk 1480 WHBC by checking in with Austin Hedges, catcher for the Cleveland Indians, spring training in Goodyear, Arizona. Austin, how's it going early on in camp for you?
It's been awesome. It's a new organization for me, and it's just been an incredible experience. The way things are run and structured from top to bottom, from staff to coaches, trainers, players, I think, everything's just running really smoothly, and I couldn't be any happier.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about your acquisition as you were acquired during the season last year as part of that Clevenger deal coming from San Diego. What was it like then coming to the Indians organization, and what you learned with them last year, and then what you've learned so far here in spring?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a good learning experience for me coming in last year, because we had two good catchers, with Roberto here, obviously, and having Sandy Leone. And the team being in first place when I got traded there, so obviously they were in a good position. So it was an opportunity for me to work and to learn, and not really play a whole lot, which was very humbling and ended up being a nice blessing in disguise, because I got to spend all that time learning my new teammates, coaches, and staff, and develop those relationships. So so I could be ready for this year. And so being able to catch those guys' bullpens, just kind of get to know them as human beings, I feel like allowed me to have a nice step forward before entering this spring training. So instead of getting to know everybody now, I was able to develop a little bit of a relationship with most guys. And now I just get to build on that. And that's been the most fun I've had so far this spring, is just developing these new relationships with so many amazing guys. And I couldn't be any more pleased.
We're learning you guys as well. For us as media members, there's been a lot of turnover over the last 3 years, and this is a new team this year, with the cornerstones being Bieber, the Cy Young Award winner, and Jose, runner-up, in the MVP race last year. So yourself and other pitchers and other players, we're learning as well. So for our listeners and viewers here on Facebook Live, give them a scouting report of Austin Hedges. I'm asking this of all the new guys because we need to learn you guys. How would you break down Austin Hedges' game?
I feel like I got a lot more in the tank than I've shown at the big league level. I know I can really catch. I've had a very nice career so far behind the plate, and I take a lot of pride in that. That's something that I've worked on my entire life, and it's my pride and joy. I love being behind the plate catching. I love working with pitchers. I love helping my pitchers have success. It's like I said, it's something I take a lot of pride in, and I've got a lot of abilities at the plate too that I think I'm just now tapping into with the help of a lot of the coaches here in Cleveland, and they've been working outstanding with me. And every day in spring, I feel like I'm getting a little bit better, and I feel like I'm going to be able to surprise some people in the batter's boxes here.
All right, for you, Roberto's the starting guy on this team. You're looking to come in, be the backup guy, but he's one of the best in the game defensively. You're pretty good from what I've been reading and what people have told me about you defensively as well. So what makes a good defensive backstop? What are the keys to being that Gold Glove caliber catcher?
First and foremost, you got to be able to work with the pitching staff. They're the number one priority. That's why a defensive catcher, being able to be capable defensively is the most important thing, more so than offense in catching, because pitching wins you ball games. Right. And that's one thing that this organization takes very seriously, and I think that's one of the main reasons why I'm here is, and that's what I try and do. But you got to be working with your pitchers. You got to make sure you're prepared for the game and calling the right pitches, because you have to make 150 plus decisions throughout the game, calling pitch after pitch, and you screw one of those up or you make the wrong call, that could end up costing the game. And so the more prepared you are, the better you're going to be. So I think those are the first two most important things. The next part is keeping the ball in front, no free bases. Obviously receiving is a big thing, but catching the ball and blocking the ball well are the next two important things. If, we help our pitchers and we don't let them get free bases. And I think those are the two most important things. And that's one thing that Roberto does so well. And there's a reason why he has 2 Gold Gloves.
The film study, learning every batter. Do you have Albert Bell, I've covered the team for many years, right? Albert used to keep a notepad of every pitcher that he faced, every at-bat he had, every pitch that was thrown to him, okay? That's when we used to write stuff down, back in the old days. But for you, how much film study is there? Do you have a notebook or maybe a photographic memory? I don't know what it is, as you learn hitters so you know what their strengths are versus what your pitcher's strengths are.
That was the main thing that I had to learn when I got to the big leagues. In the minor leagues, you don't have as much information. So that's where you learn how to trust the feel of the game. So if I don't have all this information like we have at the big leagues, I don't know what, player X is going to be hitting, what his strengths are. So I got to go out there and call some pitches that they might be right or wrong. And then based off of what happens, the success or failure of that at bat is going to dictate how I'm going to try and control the next at bat. So that's how you learn the nuances of the feel of the game, which are still maybe more important than the whole game planning, because just because the report says this guy doesn't hit slider, you go out and he's 2 for 2 with 2 homers on a slider. It's like, do we keep throwing sliders? No, we got to make an adjustment. So at the big league level, when you have all that information, if you have it, you got to take that to your advantage, because other teams have it. And if they're doing all their reports, the last thing I want to be is not as prepared as the other team. So it's one of the few things in this game that we can control is how prepared we are. So I spend a lot of time. I was very lucky to have some good mentors when I was in San Diego that taught me how to watch film, what to look for, what numbers to look at that actually were more honest numbers. Typically, like batting average and certain things aren't always what you want to look at, because it doesn't necessarily dictate on how hard a guy is hitting the ball or how consistent he is. So one main thing I look for is slugging percentage. Where are you slugging? If you're slugging, that's what I want to avoid. And where you're not slugging, that's what I want to attack. But then the main thing you got to do is you got to look at you got to see the video too, because like, for example, a guy could be 6 for his last 10 on curveballs. And I'm like, okay, like that's scary, right? Guy's hitting 600 in his last 10 at bats on curveballs, but 5 of them are off the end of the bat infield hits. And so I'm like, so really he's 1 for 10. Right. Now I go tell my pitcher that when he's like, why are we throwing curveball? He's hitting 600. I'm like, no, he really is hitting 100. Like if I go show you the film, he doesn't look good on this pitch. So that's why you got to, with the numbers, you have to watch the video as well.
That's great stuff. Fascinating to me as we learn the game within the game and the game plan with pitcher and catcher. And we talked about, and we're talking with Austin Hedges, Indians catcher, here on the Kenny and JT show. We talked about Berto and learning from him. How about having Sandy Alomar to learn from? Santos and I go way back from when he played. And last year he stepped up to fill in for Tito as the manager, but he's also the first base coach. He's done that, and he works with the catchers on a regular basis. What's it like learning from Santos?
I mean, man, he getting to work with him on a daily basis now is awesome. Like, I have so much respect for what he had to do last year, because his pride and joy is working with the catchers. He loves it, and he was still doing that while being the manager of the team, which I thought was incredible. He was still going to do the pregame routine with Berto and myself whenever we were playing, and I thought that was so cool because he had to go manage a ball game. Now he's back, in the role that he loves, and now I get to spend every single day, all day with him. I'm picking his brain. He's trying to learn, my style of catching, which is different than Berto's. So we have to constantly communicate to make sure we're doing things the right way in different ways. But the way he sees the game, the way he understands and the way he's able to communicate has been awesome. And I feel so lucky to have his eyes and his wisdom in my back pocket throughout the whole season.
Again, thrilled to have Austin Hedges with us here on the Kenny and JT show. All right, this time of the interview, I like to dive into the bios in the media guide, and it says here you're a Lakers fan, right? So you're from California originally, correct?
Yeah.
All right, so you've always been a Lakers fan. Our guy, as we like to call him, who helped Cleveland win its first ever championship in 2016, LeBron James, goes to LA and brings LA another championship. What was it like for you watching that last year during this crazy pandemic? And they had a unique season in the bubble, like you players had to deal with baseball, but in a different way.
Yeah, man. I mean, so I grew up a Kobe fan, right? It was always like in my day, it was Kobe versus LeBron, right? So I was always rooting against LeBron, rooting for Kobe. And I'll tell you what, it was a pretty exciting day when the best player in the world got traded to my team or signed with my team. I was like, okay. And then I've been lucky enough to go to a few of those games and watch that guy play basketball. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I feel super fortunate that the team that I grew up watching, I get to watch greatness on a daily basis, which is what everyone in Cleveland got to watch throughout his years there too, which is just a joy to watch. And I mean, the guy is just remarkable. And whether it's COVID, whether it's on the field, on the court or off the court, I mean, the guy is just a special person. And so I just try and take advantage of every time I get to watch him do anything.
Yeah, he's still the best at what, 35, 36, whatever it is.
He's not slowing down.
Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kawhi Leonard, KD maybe is pretty close in my opinion, but even at his age, he's still the best, which is like Tom Brady too, right? It's amazing. These are very unique and special athletes, aren't they?
They are, and they're obsessed with winning championships, which is
right.
The main thing. Like I think the greats, yeah, they want to be the GOAT or they want to be the best at all time individually, but in order to do that, they all understand you got to win rings, you got to win championships, and if you want to do that, you have to be a great teammate, you have to be a great leader. And so what it seemed like in LeBron's evolution of his career, kind of like Tom Brady, they're a coach and a player. Yeah. They're over there and like, who are you going to listen to? Like, yeah, you have this great coach, but when you have LeBron James, who's been to however many NBA finals, and Tom Brady, who's been to how many Super Bowls, that type of experience is invaluable. And to be able to be selfless enough to give that, I think is remarkable. And I think there's a reason all those guys have so many rings and why they take so much pride in it. And I love it because that's why I'm here. I'm here to win rings, man. I think that's everybody's. That's the one goal that everybody shares when they all enter spring training. You're trying to bring that trophy home.
Austin Hedges, we appreciate the time today. We really we're looking forward to this season, hopefully as close to normal as possible with 162 games and supposedly maybe 10,000 fans, in the stands if everything goes well, which will try and make it seem like a real baseball game. So we look forward to seeing you playing there at Progressive Field in what would be a normal baseball season once again. All
right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
There is Austin Hedges checking in with us today here on the Kenny and JT Show. Back with more right after this. Thanks, Austin.
All right. Thanks, brother. Have a good one.
You too. See you.